Hello and welcome back to Film Exaggeration. Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. You know, it's weird, I've yet to talk about a Hulk Hogan movie yet. From Mr. Nanny to Suburban Commando to Three Ninjas, High Noon, and Mega Mountain, his starring vehicles have been pretty panned. Sure, he's made cameos in well-liked movies, but whenever he's the star, it's likely to be a flop. And nowhere is that more evident than in the 1996 Christmas bomb, Santa with Muscles. Directed by John Merleski, Santa with Muscles currently holds a spot on the IMDb Bottom 100 and made about $220,000 at the American box office. Over 20 years later, it's regarded as one of the worst Christmas movies of all time. Basically, if it didn't star Hogan, it likely would have been forgotten. But there are two interesting things about it. One, it was one of the first films for Mila Kunis, who of course a couple years later would land a role on That 70s Show. And it was apparently executive produced by Jordan Belfort. You know, that guy. So let's see if this movie is as big a lump of coal as they say. This is Santa with Muscles. So we open up on the town of Lakeville, on an orphanage where little Elizabeth is writing to Santa asking for his help.
We used to be a happy town, but now people are moving away because Mr. Frost has been so mean to them. And now he's trying to take our orphanage away from us, and nobody can stop him. It might not be much, but it's the only home we know.
Don't worry, Elizabeth. You're in the 90s kids movie. Everything will work out fine. Hogan plays millionaire Blake Thorne, who sells bodybuilding enhancements and uses his free time by having the help try to kill him. And he is overall just kind of a complete asshole.
Here, rule number 105.
Yes, sir. Never give an inch, especially when you can take one.
Franco 91.
Never lend a hand. You might need it later.
After playing some paintball, he gets into a chase with the cops. Rather than just pull over, he takes out the paintball gun and starts firing at them. I get that he's rich and likely would have just been able to afford bail, but even a rich person would probably rather just pay a fine. They decide to hide in Lakeville where the local mall is having trouble finding a Santa. Rather than, I don't know, putting one of the elves in a costume, they send them to find one. Thorne bails out of the car and hides at the mall. Meanwhile, we meet germaphobe Dr. Frost, played by Ed Begley Jr., who is trying to buy a shoe store from someone by, well, torturing them. Merry Christmas! Thorne dresses as Santa, but the police recognize him. He hides in a garbage chute, and thankfully the cops are idiots and don't see him there. But he gets hit in the head and falls where one of the elves, named Lenny, finds him.
Blake Thorne? Richest man in 10 states? Blake Thorne? I'm rich! I'm richer than rich! I'm too rich! Visa, MasterCard, American Express.
How far are we into this movie? Oh, fuck. So Thorne has amnesia and can't remember who he is, but apparently still knows who Santa is. Lenny takes him upstairs where he starts talking to the children, and I will say this part's kinda funny. In fact, the whole scene has some decent jokes. After stopping a couple robbers from stealing money from a charity, Thorne wants to go to that orphanage that's holding that charity. So Lenny begrudgingly takes him, since he can't use Thorne's credit cards without his thumbprint. And good thing he did, as Frost has sent his goons to terrorize that orphanage since they are buying it and forcing everyone out. But Thorne puts them in their place. No, I don't believe that. The goons leave and they invite Thorne and Lenny in for dinner. The other two orphans are Taylor and Sarah, played by Mila Kunis. And the place is run by Clayton and Leslie, played by Robin Curtis.
Well, thanks, everybody. I'm really glad to be here. I'm really not sure why. But I saw the sign at the mall, and for some reason, I thought I might be needed here.
The screenplay demanded it, but they couldn't think of a less contrived way to get me here.
Good morning, Santa. I saved you a seat over...
This is a very funny story.
Mrs. Claus says it tickles, so I just wear it for deliveries.
This kid is an idiot. Also, does no one recognize the billionaire Blake Thorne? Santa has made the news in title drop daily, and then this happens.
Welcome, Lenny, to the United Banking System's Print Secure Teller. For $100 gazillion, please place your stolen thumbprint on the scanner. Thank you for doing business with us, and have a nice life in South America.
What? Sarah pimped up the Santa costume so he now looks like, well, Hulk Hogan cosplaying as Santa. The local news does a piece on him, and you know, making fun of a wrestler's acting is kind of cliche, but Hogan is really, really awful.
Well, Rooster. Slay?
I mean, yeah, in this part he's supposed to be nervous, but it's not much worse than the rest of the movie.
Rule number 20. Never surrender. Besides, this is fun.
Lenny is taken by Mr. Frost's goons, and due to his debt to Frost, he is told to get Thorne away from the orphanage, but Thorne refuses.
Mine for all of time, angel baby.
I remember that song.
And yet you can't remember who you are. The goons break the orphanage window, and so Thorne goes out to scare them off, which he does, but Taylor goes off to Frost's place. Why? Because he wants to break their window. But thankfully Thorne stops him, but while there, learns that the whole reason Frost wants the orphanage is something underneath it.
What's under the orphanage?
Water and power lines.
Telephone cables?
Sure.
Rats. Big, ugly rats.
The clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
Oh, the old catacombs underneath the church. Yeah, the kids use it as a clubhouse.
And there's a big vault door down there.
A vault.
You knew there was a vault under there, and you never checked to see what was in it?
We know the combination. Well, some of it.
Then call a locksmith or blow it up. They get the vault open, and inside are diamonds. But not just any diamonds, diamonds that generate natural electricity. I bet Mr. Henning would shit his pants if he saw this. Or give them a D-, I'm not sure. One of the goons comes back, and the two fight, with Thorne eventually knocking him out. And then this stupid shit happens. No, I refuse to believe that actually happened. I refuse to believe that this movie thinks I'm that stupid. Thorne gets his memory back and our movie ends. No, that's not the end, but wouldn't it be hilarious if it was? No, he is actually taken back to his place, but unlike before, he is now a nice guy. Not sure how that works, but through some dumb series of phone connections, the bad guys trick Thorne into believing the orphanage doesn't want his help anymore. Frost has now gone full supervillain as he not only blows down the door, but makes the orphans mine for the diamonds.
I want what's in your vault, what's under this whole neighborhood. You just happen to be in the way.
Then let us go.
Who's going to do my mining?
Yes, because 3 small children will get it done faster than many fully grown adults.
He's trying to get in the vault, and when he does, he's gonna use the kids to mine the crystals. I don't know how long it's gonna be before... Ow.
They toss out Lenny, who, you know, could just go to the cops. Well, actually, the cops are pretty useless. They chase Thorne, who's rushing to the orphanage with his servants, but they get foiled by his salad dressing and protein powder. Ladies and gentlemen, your tax dollars at work. Hell, they bring out a fucking rocket launcher, because that's something you'll need to drop your average drunk driver. And they miss. To those who want to expand police militarization, fuck you. Thorne gets to the orphanage and pulls an opposite Home Alone. Well, that guy's dead. Thorne saves the kids, but appears he's met his match. Well, that was pointless. Lenny gets rid of the electricity woman by just flat out murdering her. Like, the other guy, yeah, I made a joke, but I'm sure he's fine. This woman is just dead. Like, she's dead. She may appear later in the movie, but that's like a ghost or something. She is dead. They rescue Leslie and Clayton as Clayton reveals something about Thorne's past.
Blake Thorne. What's the matter? Blake Torachevsky doesn't fit on the bottle?
How did you...
Isn't it coming back to you yet, son? You grew up here. Look.
Is that me?
There's more. You see the boy sitting right next to you? He was your best friend, Edna Frost.
Wow. Just wow. So even after he got his memory back, he didn't remember that he grew up in this orphanage, and Frost was his best friend. This has to be one of the dumbest twists I've seen in a while. I'm impressed. I'm actually impressed by how stupid that twist was. They lock the scientist goon in the freezer as Cheroff, or Theroff, or fuck it, Hogan, confronts Frost. We get a subpar Highlander fight until they finally knock off his mask, and then...
What's happening? Reverberations are causing an energy buildup. English, please. It's gonna blow!
Alright, this is a fantasy by this point. So the movie about saving an orphanage ends with the orphanage blowing up. Merry Christmas? Somehow, Thorne is not arrested for the 2 high-speed chases, but Frost and his goons are. So the whole him and Thorne being childhood friends meant absolutely nothing. The orphans now live at Frost's place as Thorne and Lenny are now friends with them.
Ho, ho, ho!
No. It's not a good movie, it's stupid, really cheesy, Hogan is terrible, and a lot of the jokes aren't funny. It is, however, pretty funny unintentionally, and the characters are pretty likable, and it's never really boring. Overall, I would call it harmless. There's nothing really bad in it for kids. Thorne only fights in self-defense, and the morals, while standard, are fine. It had its heart in the right place, and does at least feel like a feel-good Christmas movie. Like I said, it is a bad movie, but at least it's entertainingly bad. So happy holidays to all of you watching. Check out Revenue Reviewers in the description below, and I will see you all next week for my best and worst of the year. Bye.